It is Tuesday, March the 21st, 2023. Good morning. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is a CBC Morning Report. The spate of wildfires across Barbados yesterday and in recent times is not only impacting respiratory issues, but climate change on the whole, as it contributes to more pollution. A number of fires are a result of people burning open lots to be rid of cowage. Education Minister Kay McCartney told CBC News that a national effort has to be put in place for the elimination of cowage.
What we have to do is to make sure that we're monitoring in collaboration with the other agencies of government. So it's not just the Ministry of Education, it's the Ministry of Agriculture, it's the Ministry of the Environment, and we must continue to work together to ensure that we're monitoring where these plants are and that we are able to do what is necessary to eradicate them or to limit their impact, certainly, on the students and on the teachers and the principals and the entire school communities, and of course the surrounding communities as well.
Well, those wildfires are also a biosecurity issue, and their efforts to measure the pollution which results from them. Joining us now to discuss the dangers of these wildfires to the environment is the Director of the Center for Biosecurity at UE-KPhil, Dr. Kirk Douglas. Dr. Douglas, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Pearson, and good morning to all Barbadians.
What do you see to be the obvious dangers of these fires to humans and animals?
Well, I think the direct danger is really first the fire itself causing burn hazards, but then is the extenuated impacts of the smoke inhalation, and air pollution, because the WHO has released in its guidelines, recent guidelines in 2022, some new information regarding the health impact of air pollution, and around 7 million people die every single year due to air pollution. And that is more than as persons who have actually passed during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think about 6.6 million persons have died due to COVID-19 thus far since the beginning of the pandemic. So it gives you the gravity of the situation as it concerns air pollution. Now, wildfires are just one of the sources of air pollution on the island, but it is very intense at this particular point in time because of climate and because of the dry season that we had, and also the preceding wet season that we had, a really long extended wet season, which would have given rise to more vegetative growth across the island. And so when that vegetation dries out, then unfortunately it creates a wildfire hazard and risk.
How do you go about measuring the level of pollution?
So one project that we are about to launch, it is actually funded by CRIF SPC. And so we were given some funding to actually install a number of remote air pollution sensors. And what these sensors do, they detect very, very minute small particles of air pollutants. And you can actually measure these. And so we are working with some other colleagues around the campus, Dr. Peter Shimi, Dr. Carl Payne, and also Dr. David Yawson at CERMES. At UWI. The idea is that we want to build an air pollution sensor network that is dense enough that you can actually monitor air pollution levels across the island, and therefore you will be able to understand the health risk and the health impact that air pollution can have. But this is just setting the foundation for it. We're also working with the Barbados Fire Service to actually develop a wildfire risk index so that we can then use predictive tools. For instance, for this dry season, we're hoping that in next dry season, we will be able to have the foundation and model that will predict how many wildfires, where they will occur, and therefore planning that will be necessary for all the different agencies, from education to the Ministry of Agriculture, because this is also a risk for farmers, and also just normal householders and residents across Barbados. So we're working assiduously at the university to help with this national crisis.
Given the measurements that you've done thus far, what can you say about the trends that you're perhaps picking up?
Well, we haven't done the measurements as yet. So this is a project that will now start, we believe, in April. We're going to try to hold a stakeholder meeting, and this will include ministers from education, environment, also DEM, the Department of Emergency Management, and several other agencies, including Barbados Water Authority, because where there's fire, you need water. And we've been working and conducting training with the BWA and the fire service in tandem to help to forge closer ties and bonds between those two agencies. So it's going to be a multi-stakeholder effort and initiative that we need across the board. And it's actually quite amazing that when we have disasters, the whole island comes together. But then when we're out of the disaster period, we then go back into our silos. And I think if we want to effectively tackle a lot of these challenges, what we will have to do is maintain that same level of cooperation that we do when we have disasters. So that is what we're going to try to push across Barbados as we delve into a number of these biosecurity risks.
So much for joining us today on the CBC Morning Report. Dr. Kirk Douglas was the Director of the Center for Biosecurity at the Cayfield campus. Thank you very much, sir. Morning Barbados takes a break here. We're coming back in just a moment.
CBC TV8, recognizing World Down Syndrome Day. CBC TV8, celebrating World Poetry Day.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying you can...
Former U.S. President Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested today in a case that involves him allegedly paying hush money to a porn star before the 2016 presidential election.
Donald Trump posted on social media that he expects to be arrested this week. That's in connection to payments to porn star Stormy Daniels made by his former lawyer Michael Cohen. Trump called for his supporters to protest in a post on Truth Social. Live to Gabriel Elizondo in New York. So what's the scene like, Gabe, ahead of this looming indictment?
Well, it's an absolute media circus outside this courthouse here behind me. You know, I stopped counting once I got up to 50 different camera crews here. They're right outside the front steps of the courthouse on the other side of the street, about a block away. I'm just about a quarter of a block away. That's the closest we can get. Huge, huge interest in this because we believe that inside this courthouse, members of the grand jury are in the final moments, perhaps hours, perhaps days, of making their decision on if they will criminally indict former President Donald Trump. If they do, that would mean that Trump has to present himself, or in another word, surrender to authorities, and it would happen at this courthouse here behind me. So that is why everyone's here, waiting for this indictment and then waiting to see the former president perhaps showing up at this courthouse, and that's why you see so much attention here. It's important to point out that while he might be criminally indicted, keyword might, we still haven't obviously confirmed that yet. That'll be up to the jurors that are meeting at the grand jury right now. It would then go to a trial. And then that is when in a trial he would be either found guilty or not guilty. Now, this case centers around a misdemeanor, and that's a payment of more than $100,000 in hush money to the former adult film star Stormy Daniels in 2016. But what is more critical here is that part of this, the district attorney is investigating also, perhaps as part of that, a criminal charge much more than just a misdemeanor. It would be a felony, and that's that Donald Trump allegedly falsified business records in relation to that payment. And that is what would be a felony in New York law. And if convicted, again, that's a big if, that holds a 4-year prison term. However, a lot of caveats in this. Most analysts say in this case, it's highly unlikely, even if indicted, even if convicted, Trump would serve even 1 day in jail, at least for this alleged crime. Nevertheless, it would be historic if he is indicted, because there's a chance that Trump could be driven to the front of this courthouse and he could get out and walk into the courthouse to turn himself in, which would be obviously a pretty remarkable image to see, obviously being the first president in U.S. history potentially indicted for criminal charges.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has warmly welcomed Chinese leader Xi Jinping on a state visit to the Kremlin, sending a message to Western leaders that their efforts to isolate Moscow over its war in Ukraine have fallen short. The Chinese leader has been trying to portray Beijing as a potential peacemaker in Ukraine, even as he deepens economic ties with Moscow.
This is a trip China hopes will end war in Ukraine, but it's a delicate mission for Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi has repeatedly said his country is neutral in the conflict, but he is widely seen as a key ally and supporter of Russian President Vladimir Putin.
China values the friendship between China and Russia. This has historical logic because we are neighbours and two large countries. We're also strategic partners. Such a position determines that we have a very close relationship.
Last month, China presented a peace plan to end the war in Ukraine. But while it calls for an end to unilateral sanctions against Russia and a ceasefire, it makes no mention of Russian troops withdrawing from Ukrainian territory. President Vladimir Putin said Russia is open to a political and diplomatic solution.
We have considered your proposals for settlement of the Ukraine crisis. Of course, we will have an opportunity to discuss this. We know that you are basing this on principle of fairness and upholding the principle of the international law, indivisible security for all countries. You also know that we are always open to negotiations. We will discuss all these issues, including your initiative.
Following his trip to Moscow, President Xi Jinping is likely to speak with Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky for the first time since the start of the war. But Ukraine has rejected calls for a ceasefire while its territory is occupied by Russian forces. Beijing also faces another challenge, convincing Western leaders who remain largely skeptical of its peace plan.
He's clearly committed war crimes.
The United States said it was designed to deflect attention from China's support for Putin. Washington has recently disclosed intelligence that China was considering sending secret shipments of weapons to Russia. And if that happens, the US warns it may impose economic sanctions on Beijing.
Coming up in 16 minutes, when you join me for Morning Barbados today, we'll be having our conversation on CARICOM, when Ambassador Commission will help us break down the recent budget as delivered by the Prime Minister on those matters that relate to CARICOM. Also today, we'll continue our look into the Faculty for Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. What's new? What's happening all week long? The Barbados National Population Policy. Hopefully today we get some clarity on what that policy is. And today is World Down Syndrome Day, and certainly today when our pediatrician joins us, we'll take a look at that and a whole lot more straight ahead at 6:30 on Morning Barbados. The CBC Morning Report continues in just a moment.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and FL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
Today's Morning Barbados is sponsored in part by Troubadours International. Get ready for the Legacy Show on Saturday, March 25th at Halo Nightclub, St. Lawrence Gap, Christchurch. Sponsored by CBC TV8 and 94.7 FM.
Community Files.
Learn more about the Met Office on World Meteorological Day at its open day on Thursday, March 23rd at the Met Office at Charnock's, Christchurch. View aspects of the Met Office's daily operations while learning about weather forecasts, impact-based forecasting, 3D printed automatic weather stations, better known as 3D PAWS, water level sensors, climate change.
Energy Minister Senator Lisa Cummins has been clearing the air about Barbados' offshore oil and gas exploration efforts. During her presentation in the Upper House yesterday, Senator Cummins dismissed suggestions that rigs will be set up in the Carlisle Bay and other points across the island.
Carlisle Bay relates to an offshore block. They got all kind of names. Offshore blocks. We got Carlisle Bay, Bimshire, Blackberry Sheet. All kind of names. So Blackberry Sheet relate to the Blackberry Sheet up in country in St. George all of a sudden? No. No, Mr. President, they're the names of offshore blocks. So no, we are not having drilling off of Carlisle Bay. Let me put that to bed too. I'm reminded with the name. The name, we got Sugarcane, Chapel House, Kensington. We're not drilling off of Kensington, Mr. President. Bathsheba, we ain't drilling off of Bathsheba, and we are not drilling off of Carlisle Bay.
The Energy Minister also confirmed Barbados remains committed to the climate change fight even as it embarks on the oil exploration efforts. She reiterated statements by Prime Minister Mayor Amor Motley to demonstrate that.
This is also the leader who in the other place said, when we begin the process of offshore exploration, her preference is for natural gas exploration. And even if we can find someone, some entity who will pay Barbados to leave the oil in the ground, she would be willing to do that because we have to be true to our philosophy. So I don't want us to buy into this notion about, oh, it is disappointing that we're going to offshore exploration. Prime Minister was very clear, Mr. President. She didn't stutter. She wasn't unambiguous in what she said. She said natural gas is her preference, and that is what I understand my instruction to be as a minister with responsibility for energy.
Independent Senator Crystal Drakes wants to see changes being made to the processes and systems associated with governance in Barbados. She made the point during her assessment of the budget. Recognizing a need for more citizen engagement, she called for the process known as participatory budgeting to be adopted as it allows the public to have a greater say in how state funds are used.
Countries such as Switzerland, Netherlands, Canada, all have their own forms or models of participatory budgeting. Sir, and if by some blessing, it is something that we believe can help us in building what we have coined as this new Republic of Barbados. Is there a design that we can come up with that can then become a critical part of the political architecture of Barbados governance systems?
The Capabilities of the police force in the Bahamas in fighting crime has been boosted with a fleet of 10 new SUVs outfitted with the latest technology. The vehicles will be utilized in the force's Operation Ceasefire Department. This report now from Eyewitness News.
$1 million upgrade for the Royal Bahamas Police Force today as 10 new hybrid SUVs were added to their fleet. These vehicles will be used for the Operation Ceasefire unit to help in the fight against crime, particularly illegal firearms.
Earlier this year, we were graced with 20 vehicles that were donated, and this is the first 10 that we're actually releasing today. These 10 vehicles are going to assist in actually crime fighting. These are the latest in technology as it relates to police vehicles. You will find that worldwide law enforcement officers are moving to the SUV type vehicles. These vehicles are an estimated $150,000. They are outfitted with the latest in technology, and they are also outfitted with guards as they traverse the streets of New Providence. Thus far, the Operation Ceasefire unit alone has actually recovered 30+ firearms from the streets of New Providence yet to date.
As more guns are taken off the streets, police are seeing an uptick in more dangerous weapons.
Well, casino operators may be able to request changes to Bermuda's gaming rules if proposed legislation is passed. The Gaming Amendment Act 2023, which was tabled recently, puts sole responsibility for the Bermuda Gaming Commission on the Minister of Finance and gives the Commission power to modify regulations in response to casino operators. We hear more from Bermuda Broadcasting.
You can't change the rules of poker if the game isn't going your way. But potential casino operators may be able to request changes to Bermuda's gaming rules if proposed legislation is passed. New amendments could give the Bermuda Gaming Commission power to modify the regulations governing a casino should the casino operator apply for such changes. The amendments would also give sole ministerial responsibility for the Bermuda Gaming Commission to the Minister of Finance. Premier and Finance Minister David Burt had promised the changes during this year's budget, saying there was, quote, a flaw in the inherited regime.
The law must be amended to permit casino operators to choose the model that best suits the intended venue for their casino. Likewise, the law must be amended to permit the Gaming Commission the flexibility to consider and grant licenses on that basis.
Proposed amendments would allow the Commission to modify casino regulations if it is satisfied that they are unduly burdensome to the operator or would not achieve the intended purpose of the obligation. There would be no modification, however, if the Commission deemed it could present any undue risk to stakeholders. Obligations to anti-money laundering, anti-terrorist financing and responsible gaming regulations would also take precedence. Furthermore, proposed amendments would give the Minister of Finance singular ministerial oversight of the Bermuda Gaming Commission. Previously, the BGC was under the Premier's office and required some approvals from the Minister of Finance. Since Premier David Burt holds both offices, this arguably isn't a significant change at this time. The Premier simply won't have to seek approvals from himself. To critics, however, this consolidation of power may raise concerns.
South African security forces say 87 people had been arrested in the last 12 hours across the country over public violence before planned protests by the left-wing Economic Freedom Fighters Party. The EFF, the third largest party in the country, has called for a national shutdown to protest crippling power cuts and demand the resignation of President Cyril Ramaphosa.
This protest has been called by supporters of South Africa's third largest party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, and they say it's about the rising cost of living, unemployment and crippling power cuts. Their leader, Julius Malema, says he wants President Cyril Ramaphosa to resign. He accuses him of corruption and mismanaging the country's energy crisis.
If he doesn't resign, what is your next step?
Protest is not an event. It's continuous. It's not a 21st birthday party. It keeps on rolling. We are on the streets, we are in the courts, we are in parliament. We'll continue to fight until he steps down.
Some areas in South Africa can go without electricity for more than 10 hours a day. The power disruptions are affecting businesses, homes, and slowing down economic growth.
President Cyril Ramaphosa recently appointed the country's first electricity minister. Some people here say they hope it's going to be something to help ease the country's energy crisis. Others are not so confident.
People who marched say as far as they are concerned, Monday's national shutdown was a success. In some parts of the country, shops and banks were operating normally. But in places like the capital Pretoria, there was an increase in security and several businesses didn't open. Ramaphosa's administration says it's working on turning around the economy and improving electricity services. But South Africans who marched to the presidential guest house say they are growing impatient.
In sports now, the West Indies will be aiming for a series win when they take on host South Africa at SunWest Park in the third and final one-day international in just over 30 minutes' time. After the first match was washed out, the Windies defeating the hosts on Saturday by 48 runs in an entertaining second contest. Interim head coach Andre Cooley says the players must remain hungry for success.
Every game brings new possibilities. You've just outlined one. We are in a very good space mentally, and we're happy with our preparation. So we're just really looking at, making sure that we're ready for this game. The conditions, obviously, we'll have to work that out and work out what's the best approach. But we've been taking it on a match-by-match basis. So we are in a good place, and we have had good plans, and everybody's just looking forward to playing the second ODI with the possibilities that are in front of us.
Coach Cooley has also highlighted areas the Windies must improve on.
If you look at batting, bowling, fielding, there were obviously areas that outlined one before. More batters going deep. That is always a good sign of a batting unit. But that's good that we're in a good vein of form. Bowling, obviously, you want to have the ability or the capacity to continuously take wickets throughout the innings. And as a fielding unit, you want to do well, have a clean sheet at the end of the innings. So, there are always going to be areas that you pinpoint for improvement, but we're just looking for a new start, a fresh start, and looking to be better all around.
All right, let's take a look now at some forecast conditions recorded at 6 o'clock this morning at the Grantley Adams International Airport. What's in the forecast for Barbados today? At the moment at 6, under cloudy skies with light showers, Barbados 23.1 degrees Celsius. The humidity 89%. The barometer reads 1015.5 millibars, and the winds are coming from the east at 30 kilometers an hour. Seas today should be moderate in open water, swells ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 meters. There is a small craft and high surf advisory in effect for above normal sea swells. So the forecast for Barbados today, we'll have a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief scattered light to moderate early morning showers. And in the forecast for Barbados tonight, a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. And now we'll look at some forecast conditions for some international cities. Well, that's it for today's edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Pearson Bowen. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning.
Good morning to you, everyone, and welcome to today, the day we have all been looking forward to. Today is World Down Syndrome Day. Today is the day we rock our socks, indeed. I'm Pearson Bowen, welcoming all of you to today, a very special day indeed, and so good to have you company all over the world. We encourage you today to rock your socks. Get out there, get your multicolored socks on and rock your socks. Be proud to display your support for Down syndrome awareness today. If there's nothing else you do today, let that be a charge to you today to rock your socks. And speaking of which, we started, you know what, let's put our actions into play here. So get your multicolored socks today. Go to any location you see there or anywhere you purchase your socks and make sure you get all of those and mix, match, do as creative as you want to be. Be very multicolored, be very bold in rocking your socks today as we have. So the crew has joined in this and we want to thank you, by the way, because as you rock your socks today, we want you to take your photograph and to send that photograph by email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb all through the morning. That's what we're going to be doing. Look, there we are. That's Nadia Fawcett standing tall over Joanna and me. And so Nadia's there rocking her socks. I'm there in the middle, and Joanna Jones, our makeup technician, she's sitting next to me there rocking her socks as well. Different angles that we've taken it from, so that you see that we have put our words to actions. And so the Roel Ford has now joined. He's sitting there next to Nadia. He's next to Joanna. He is our technical director today, and he too is rocking his socks. So rock your socks today, today. Rock your socks. Be as multicolored and as creative as you possibly can. There's one coming in from one of our viewers, Cheryl. Cheryl, thank you so very much for being up early and taking a photograph of your socks as well. Rock your socks, girl. Do your thing. And so we want you to do your thing too. Rock your socks today. Take your photographs as we've shown you. That's what we want to do. And you will send your photographs to us by email to Mornin Barbados, MORNIN Barbados, spelled out, at cbc.bb. Note your name so that we can say, hey, that's you, James and John and Joanna, so that we can call you out and let people know that you have joined the campaign to rock our socks today to continue to raise awareness about Down syndrome. Speaking of which, we'll be also discussing that with our pediatrician, Dr. Gillian Birchwood, joins us this morning, so we have a greater understanding about how special people with Down syndrome truly are. And so for those of you parents who have a child who has Down syndrome, who's a Downs, as they say, you get some further details this morning when our pediatrician joins us. Also coming up today, we'll take you into that Science and Technology Festival that was held last weekend at the University of the West Indies. We were there, so we took some images of it and we will share that with you, just in case you may have missed it. The Barbados National Population Policy is on, and so we'll be joined this morning to get to know more about that policy, and it's something you need to pay close attention to, so stand by for that as well. Today we'll continue our journey through the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts at the Cayfield campus of the University of the West Indies, and we will get to know more about what else is happening this week and the many programs on offer in that particular faculty and how you can benefit from it. It's more than just play now. You can seriously study in that faculty as well. But I want to get started this morning in our conversations on CARICOM. And so joining us this morning as we break down the Minister's budget speech as it relates to CARICOM is Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Comishong. Ambassador Comishong, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson. Pleasure to be here.
Good to see you. I hope, sir, that you rock your socks today. I am asking you, Kelly, to rock your socks.
I'm now hearing about it. I'm not a multicolored sock guy, but I guess I'll have to go and buy a pair.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't either, and to the point where I'm actually not wearing shoes today on the set, deliberately because I want the public to see I'm wearing my socks today. So for me, this too is kind of new, but nonetheless, we want to encourage as many people as possible today to really rock their multicolored socks in support of those with Down syndrome. So, just last week, the Prime Minister would have delivered her budget speech in Parliament, and it was quite wide-ranging, and it was almost revolutionary. In that, she talked a lot about some issues as it relates to CARICOM and how Barbados seeks to address it. I want to discuss with you this morning a few things that came up. For instance, the whole idea of the development of a tissue culture lab to spur trade in agricultural products. What can you say to us about that?
Well, I would like to actually quote the Prime Minister's words, and this is what she said. Mr. Speaker, 15.3 million to the Ministry of Agriculture for the construction of a new tissue culture laboratory for us to ensure that we can provide the clean planting material and continue to do the research that's necessary so that once again we become an exporter of key products like sweet potatoes and peppers. And she went on to say that she's going to be holding the Minister of Agriculture accountable for increasing Barbados's food exports. And she made the point that this new tissueculture laboratory is going to complement the food terminal that is going to be constructed at Lears as a joint project between government and the private sector. So this is a very important development. The tissueculture laboratory really is going to enhance the capacity of Barbados to produce the best planting material, so that we can improve the stock of products like sweet potato, peppers, etc. And this coheres with CARICOM's 25 by 25 initiative, where we are seeking to reduce our extra-regional food import bill by 25% by the year 2025, and Barbados is going to play a big part in that, because once we get the food terminal established at Lears, that's a 7-acre site, Barbados will then become a hub for fresh produce coming in from places like Guyana and Suriname, being re-exported to other areas of the region. But what the Prime Minister is saying is not only will we be receiving produce from other CARICOM countries, that we are going to enhance our own capacity to add to that production locally. So very important, Pearson.
And almost tangentially, it also approaches the whole subject of non-communicable diseases by what we eat. Because if we can eat better, then we can better able to tackle some of those issues as well, from a health perspective.
Yes, that's a big issue for Barbados. It's estimated that some 80% of our health budget is tied to diabetes and other non-communicable diseases. So yes, diet is a big part of the prevention equation.
Mm-hmm. Now, she also talked about, the Prime Minister, the doubling of the numbers in the Construction Gateway program to train skilled workers who can work in Barbados and across the CARICOM as well. And I know we started that with our teachers, but to be able now to announce, and the budget is something we hold the government to. So that means that it's an intention of the government to be able to do so, to broaden that gateway.
Yes. Well, what she's referring to here is really the artisanal skill component of the CARICOM Skill Nationals program. You know, we have this ambition to radically increase the amount of houses built in Barbados. In fact, the government says that they have a target of 10,000 new houses. They said that at the last election. And they made the point that if that is going to happen, it's going to call for a lot more construction workers, people with skills as, you know, masons and carpenters and welders and electrical wiremen. And so they have started this new training program. The Prime Minister is saying in this speech that while they're satisfied, you know, what they've done so far, but they recognize that they have to double the number of Bajans in this program, training in artisanal skills. And the point she is making is that once they acquire these skills, not only will they be able to seek and acquire employment in Barbados, but they will be equipped to get their CARICOM skills certificate and to seek employment all across the region. And she pointed specifically to Guyana, where with the new oil and gas industry and the overall development that is spurring in Guyana, it is anticipated that there's going to be a construction boom in Guyana and that there's going to be a great demand for these skills. So to me, this is very important. Yes, this is precisely what we want. We want Barbadians to take full advantage of this CARICOM Skill Nationals program. And one of the key areas is the area of artisans. But you know, you must be trained to the level of at least a level 1 CVQ, Caribbean Vocational Qualification.
To do that, travel, however, is important. And she also approached that in the budget as well. I know she talked a little bit, the Prime Minister, about reducing the tariff on intra-regional travel and also opening up the possibility for more linkages throughout the region. Can you break that down for us from the budget speech, the whole question of intra-regional travel?
Well, she brought some very good news because we have been really struggling over the last couple of years with intra-regional travel. Since LIAC basically collapsed, there's been a crisis in travel within the region. And I guess the good news she's bringing is that the other small Caribbean airlines seem to be stepping up to the plate. And so she mentioned that the Minister of Tourism and the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. has been working with these small airlines to boost travel from the Caribbean into Barbados. And she had good news that whether it's Air Antilles, it's Caribbean Airlines, it's the Inter-Caribbean Airline, that they will be doubling and quadrupling the amount of travel, the amount of seats, the amount of flights into Barbados from St. Lucia, Dominica, Antigua, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Grenada, St. Vincent, Guyana, and she said even as far away as Jamaica. So she said that there's likely to be an additional 37,800 seats from coming into Barbados from various parts of the region. And the BTMI is expected to work with the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association to capitalize on this intra-Caribbean tourism market. And then she went on to do something that is very, very important within this. This is the 50th anniversary year of CARICOM, and governments across the region are looking at ways in which we could, in a positive way, mark and commemorate this 50th anniversary year. And the Prime Minister has said that this year, for 6 months, the last 6 months of this year, Barbados will reduce the taxes on inter-Caribbean airline tickets by 47%. And indeed, that word has gone out across the CARICOM. And I know folk at the CARICOM Secretariat are hoping that this will be replicated by other governments as a 50th anniversary commemorative gesture. So that's going to happen. From the beginning of July to December of this year, there's going to be that 47% reduction in taxes, Barbados government taxes on inter-Caribbean airline tickets.
That is fantastic news, I must tell you. I have the thirst to travel. Can't wait for that to come into play. So I too myself can get onto that Inter-Caribbean Airlines. But what's this about the establishment of a green-blue investment bank? What is that?
Well, this is perhaps the biggest development that she announced. 2 years ago when we were getting ready to go to COP in Scotland, the Barbados government invited to Barbados the director of the UN's Green Climate Fund, which is headquartered in South Korea, and we took the opportunity, to make good contact with the Green Climate Fund, and to get them to buy into the idea that we could establish a blue-green investment bank right here in Barbados that will service not only Barbados, but the Eastern Caribbean. And we've been working on it over the past 2 years. People like Professor Avinash Prasad, he's had a big role in helping to bring it to fruition. And the Prime Minister announced that we are on the verge of actually establishing the bank. That the work right now, is going on with the Green Climate Fund, and the firm expectation is there that the Green Climate Fund is going to invest $30 million in equity. Not a loan to Barbados. This is actually the money they are going to put into Barbados's Blue-Green Investment Bank. The Barbados government is going to put in £20 million, and she made the point that several other multilateral organizations, the Caribbean Development Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and even the IMF through their new Resilience and Sustainability Fund, they have all indicated that they want to invest equity, they want to put money into a Barbados-based blue-green investment bank. And so the Prime Minister said that during the course of this year, we can look forward to the establishment of this bank in Barbados with a capital base of $100 million and with a lending capacity of $500 million. So this will be money that will be available to do all kinds of projects that are associated with, green development. Whether it is projects in renewable energy, whether it is projects in making homes more resilient to hurricanes, whether it is in projects dealing with beach erosion. But this is very good news, Pearson, and this is a tribute to us. This is a tribute to Barbados, that we are not simply victims. We are not victims of circumstances or asking other people to do things for us or to finance us. We have actually taken the initiative. We are going to set up our own banking institution capable of deploying $500 million, not only to help Barbados, but also to help our Eastern Caribbean brothers and sisters.
This is fantastic news. Again, CARICOM at work. Ambassador, we have to leave it there, we're out of time. But thank you so much for joining us this morning to help us better understand how, from the budget, Barbados is truly showing its commitment to the development of CARICOM, not just for the peoples of the region, but for the people of Barbados as well. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
My pleasure, Pearson. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Indeed so. And rock your socks, sir. All right. Just don't forget, Barbados Today, we are rocking our socks. We want to thank all of you who have already been sending your photographs. And if you haven't done so yet, please snap the photograph, even if you're just put on your socks, just the socks area, and tell us who you are so that we can share it with the rest of Barbados Today. It's a global initiative, and we thank you for stepping up to be a part of that global initiative today. As we look at Down syndrome, today is World Down Syndrome Day, and so we encourage you to rock your multicolored socks today. Be fashionable, be totally different, be colorful, and be bold today to say to the rest of the world, yes, with, not for. And that's the whole theme today. Now, there's a child in all of us. There's a big child in Roel, Ford, our technical director. This is his own aircraft. This is what brought him to work today. And so, Roel, thank you for the aircraft that you've made on paper with paper. But that just goes to show there's a lot still that little boys can do. And that's what we want to encourage many of you to encourage your little boys to do. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening in that big faculty at the University of the West Indies. Stay with us.
CBC TV8, recognizing World Down Syndrome Day.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Community Files.
Learn more about the Met Office on World Meteorological Day at its open day on Thursday, March 23rd at the Met Office at Charnock's, Christchurch. View aspects of the Met Office's daily operations while learning about weather forecasts, impact-based forecasting, 3D printed automatic weather stations, better known as 3D PAWS, water level sensors, climate change, tsunamis and earthquakes, and much more. To register for the open day tours, visit the Met Office website at www.barbadosweather.org.
CBC TV8, recognizing International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination.
Barbados, get ready for the Troubadours Live, Saturday, March 25, featuring DJs Admiral and Wayne Cool. $80 at the door, or get your tickets at $70 from Emerald City 6 Roads, Carlton Supermarket Blackrock, Smart Stores Line River Welchers, CS Pharmacy Broad Street, New Look Boutique Robert Street, Digi South Sky Mall, Lucky Horseshoe, Warrens, Worthing, Baggatown, and City Center, Abbeville, Rockley, and online ticketpalcaribbean.com. Troubadours, Wayne Cool Simmons, Admiral International, Saturday, March 25, Halo Nightclub, St. Lawrence Gap.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
That's going to be a huge event, so don't forget, get your tickets today to be a part of it. One sensational night, the Troubadours Legacy Show. Now, joining us now as we take a look through the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts, it is Open Week, is Dr. Marcia Burrows. She is the Deputy Dean in the faculty. Dr. Burrows, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Typical you.
I rock your socks today, honestly.
Yes. Are you rocking your socks?
No, I wasn't aware of it. You know, I'm cultural studies. So on the one hand, I think it's an absolutely fantastic initiative globally. On the other hand, I'm seeing that popular culture can bring in quite a bit of cash for certain groups and companies. And hey, some companies have employed to increase the population, you know, the amount of socks to be made and the amount of money to be made. So maybe they should donate the socks worldwide, and then it would really be rocking your socks. But your socks look cool. Your
Thank
socks
you.
look cool.
Thank you. I don't want to put it in your face, but here they are, you know, nonetheless. But here we are.
See a thing.
That's all right. That's my production crew's fault. That's okay. But here I am, and today I decided to not wear shoes while on set because it is about rocking the socks. So if you're going to wear them, proudly display them. And that's what we want our viewers to be able to do today. So maybe, hopefully, if time permits, that you can get out there and you get a pair of socks, and they're affordable, and you rock your socks too.
I see too many things with it. So I welcome you. At first, I thought it was a gendered initiative until I saw your photo with your female employee rocking her socks as well.
Yes.
So there are a lot of sockers. But it's a good initiative and to bring attention to Down syndrome. I support that.
Indeed so. And that's what we want to talk
with, you know, marketing.
Indeed. To this week now, you're having Open Week in your faculty at the University of the West Indies. Yesterday you had a big event, an opportunity for those to get to know more about the programs on offer. Let's look through the rest of the week and what we can come, taste and see in this Open Week.
First of all, let me openly, in front of the entire nation of Barbados, invite CBC to come in to see us. I congratulate my colleague Dean Badnock for what has been a fantastic campaign, Rescience. But we in the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts is having an exciting week as well. I know today's Down Syndrome Day, but today is also World Poetry Day, International World Poetry Day. And so tonight at 7 o'clock, we're having performances at the Warner Theatre in the Faculty of Culture. There's a flyer. She's our former student and our alumni. Other students and alumni, I'm told Adrian Green, so I'll drop his name. They're going to be performing, and it's free to the public. Please come. It is in association with the U.S. Embassy to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. But young poets doing spoken word. Today is World Poetry Day. So that's another day to look at, World Poetry Day, 21st March, 2023. Then tomorrow and Friday, I would love you to come. Go ahead, Kirsty.
No, you go ahead. No, I was just going to support you because I know that has become such a go-to activity in Barbados among the young people, the poetry slams, and many of them are finding creative ways of expressing from within. And so this evening at 7 o'clock, that's what it's about.
Well, you and I would have grown up in the time of the bus man, you know, with Farrell, the bus man was the fun man. So different genres and different eras find different ways of creating poetry and making art. So spoken word is the thing now. You go on YouTube, it's all over YouTube. And this allows for these voices, and it's nice that it's being led by a female. I'm always gender conscious. And I think we're doing a lot in Barbados, but it's nice to be led by Cindy. So I'm inviting you, just take a walk up to walk at Warner Theatre or drive up, walk at Warner Theatre 7 o'clock tonight. Those Barbara says, if you're on campus, come and join us. But
Indeed.
Pearson, this
Yes,
is where
please.
I want to come. We are doing a massive outreach. We have reached out to all CSEC and all CAPE students. Now, if CSEC students who are doing theater, drama, dance, you might not be doing dance at CSEC, but you might be doing dance there's so many dance academies in Barbados. If you're doing music, we are inviting you to come to the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts tomorrow. It's a CSEC Day of the Creative Arts. And we're starting to get some responses. Students have been taking in their permission slips. So we're getting an idea of the numbers who are coming. We're going to get quite a few numbers. So if you come to the faculty, you join us in the Warner Theatre. That's where we gather. I'll open it as Deputy Dean and Chair of this faculty week. Pass it on to our admins person, Miss Carol Jordan, or her representative, to talk about the entry into UE. And then this is what happens. The music students stay in the Walk at World Theatre, Walk at Warner Theatre, not Walk at World, Walk at Warner. And the drama students go off to the theatre studio. The dance students go off to the dance studio. The cinema students interested in cinema, film, digital media go off to the Cinematheque, and the visual arts students go off to, I think it's the George Lamin Pedagogical Center, perhaps, or the Art Gallery for a session on visual arts. There's then break, and then, believe it or not, Pearson, students can switch. They can actually say, right, I've done a session on visual arts. Let me go do a session on film. Or I've done a session on dance, let me do a session on theater. Or I've done a session in theater, but I want to go back for the acting for TV and screen. So an exciting day, you can choose between these. You then have lunch, and students are reminded to bring a packed lunch. This is post-COVID period, so we're very, very health conscious and health aware. And then you gather with us back in the Warner Theatre, all of us, and we'll have performances.
Right.
FCCPA dance students will perform. FCCPA music students will perform. We were just told yesterday in the meeting with the ministry that Mr. Randy Eastman and Mr. Lurie, they're bringing a band, a pop band. I can't remember his last name.
Nice.
So 15 minutes of that. So an entire afternoon of performances. So not only do you have a chance to work with our lecturers who teach dance and who teach theater, who teach visual arts, and who teach cinema, you also get a chance to see the performances, to see what can come about. It's a very exciting day. I would love CBC to come and capture that. So that's Wednesday.
Right.
Friday, CAPE students, if you are sixth formers doing CAPE Caribbean Studies, all of you are invited to come to the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts on Friday. We will have a session. The first session will be devoted to Caribbean Studies, but think Module 1, so not Module 2, Module 1, with a focus on culture, with a focus on examining great Caribbean thinkers like George Lamin, with a focus of hearing from our undergraduates and graduates who are going through various Caribbean cultural programs and cultural studies. So it's very exciting. From 10 to 11, you have that. Of course, in the beginning, we will have our admissions person speak about entrance to university. We are very aware CAPE are an immediate constituency coming into university, whether to us or universities overseas. This is the time you're thinking, what am I going to do when I finish my CAPE subjects? So we're going to have a session on that. Then all CAPE Caribbean students, and Pearson, that's literally 50% of the population of students.
That's right.
CAPE. We're doing CAPE Caribbean Studies or CAPE Communication Studies.
Yes.
So everyone. But this is then where it really gets delightful. You have a break, and then you have the choice of going into a CAPE Performing Arts session. We'll run that for you. CAPE Visual Arts, the Ministry of Education, and this is in collaboration with the ministry. The Ministry of Education especially asked for the CAPE Visual Arts students to also have sessions at FCCPA, at the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. We're also going to have a film and digital media session, which we know students might not be studying at CAPE, but you might be really interested in it.
Yes.
So you can actually go to the session. And this is the digital media age group. You know, this is their media.
Mm-hmm.
Then after lunch, there's lunch, and then you switch. So if you were not able to go to the film and media session in the morning, you can go take it in the afternoon. If you missed, our visual arts responses are quite a bit. I think we've had 50-something responses so far.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible we will divide it into two so that you have a choice. And that's the whole point. We are bringing you into the faculty so that all students can experience just a taste of what we do at the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts. Pearson, so that's CSEC. Okay, I'm inviting CBC, come with your cameras. On the Thursday, the graduate students have come up with a very interesting discussion. You know, we just made some adjustments to crop over into the activities of crop over. So they've come up, and I'm looking here to read the title to you. The role of festivals in our Caribbean communities, how to keep it going.
Wow. And
these are students from St. Vincent, from across the region, from Barbados. And these are students. So Pearson, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, it's going to be out there. That's discussion. They're going to be entertaining questions so you can be involved. If you want to come to be physically there in person, it's in the Cinematique, which is in the Walcott Warner complex, the Cinematique. But the students have made sure that it's digital, it's digitally aware, you can be contacted, you can watch it, you can interact. And yes, this question, because I've now just returned from St. Vincent. Well, in January, I worked with Ciru on an outreach program, and their carnival committee is also discussing what's the way forward with their festival. I am working with Dominica, and they are looking at what's the way forward with their sensei. I was just working with Trinidad and Tobago in their creative and festival arts department, and they're looking at, so what are we going to do about the carnival arts? It's there because what has happened, Pearson, as you know, somewhere around the time of Rex Nettlefair, he recognized, look, one of the ways of income generating for the Caribbean has to be its culture, has to be its people. But it's always tied up with identity. So we're all, as an artist and a practitioner, I'm very, very aware that when we speak of festivals, we're speaking about identities. But I thought the festival commissions right throughout the Caribbean, not just the NCF, are being forced how to package, how to do. So having the voice of the university, I think, is extremely essential, because we come with the theories, we come with the youth outlook, and we come with the passion. And so what's happening to our festivals is a fabulous discussion that these students are having on Thursday. And remember, Facebook Live.
And YouTube as well. That's Thursday at 5 o'clock, right? Thursday at 5.
That's Thursday at 5 until 8 or whenever. I have shared things that I have to beg people to come offline because they keep talking all the time.
That's all right. But you know, there's a lot going on. We want to encourage people to go to the website kfil.duwi.edu and go for the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts and get to know more. And because we're out of time, I got to leave it right there, Dr. Burrows. But thank you so much. Again, a very exciting faculty. And I really hope that our students and those of you who are adults and looking for higher education as well, that you do grab hold of these studies in that faculty by signing up as soon as possible. Thank you so much, and all the best.
World Poetry Day today. World Poetry Day is
World Poetry Day today, that's right. Thank you so very much indeed, Dr. Marcia Burrows, Deputy Dean. Indeed, thank you too. We'll take a break right here. We're coming back with the news in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hi, I am Jaheem Thomas, one of the team leaders of Project SOF. Project SOF is a very transformational program for youth who are now going into secondary school. It helps them with their team building, effective communication, decision making, and also raise awareness of drug use. For me, Project SOF definitely impacted my life, especially as a team leader. Dealing with children every day, it was for me to honestly wonder, am I making the right decisions when I approach these children? And not only that, but are they developing as well and taking in information that they're being taught? Project SOF also benefits those children, as I mentioned earlier, But one of the major things I have seen, especially from children coming out of Project Solve, is the impact that it has made on them even after the program. Recently, I went to one of these schools where I saw some of these students. And when they came to me, the effect, the impact that I got, because they said, Uncle Jahim, and to see that relationship still sticks with them, to see that they still remember everything, because they were like, Uncle Jahim, you come in and watch me.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time for the news now, brought to you by the Barbados Lotteries. Remember, dream car, dream house, dream vacation, they could all be yours in Friday's massive $6,710,000 jackpot, the Super Lotto jackpot. Get your Super Lotto ticket right now from any Barbados Lottery island-wide agent, and you could be living your dream as that next big millionaire. Good luck to you, Super Lotto. You've got to be in it to win it. In the news now,
Studied hard at school, didn't wanna be a fool, but you're still not in the game. Girlfriend live in large, big house and careless because she's in the game. Life seems real tough, bills keep going up, and you're still not in the game. It's not that hard for all that to change, it's time to get in the game. You have to be in it to win it. Super Lotto, in it to win it. Super Lotto, in it to win it. Super Lotto, you have to be in the game.
News now, the spate of wildfires across Barbados yesterday and in recent weeks is not only impacting respiratory issues but climate change on the whole as it contributes to more pollution. A number of fires are a result of people burning open lots to get rid of cow itch. The Education Minister, Kay McCartney, told CBC News that a national effort has to be in place for the elimination of cow itch.
What we have to do is to make sure that we're monitoring in collaboration with the other agencies of government. So it's not just the Ministry of Education, it's the Ministry of Agriculture, it's the Ministry of the Environment, and we must continue to work together to ensure that we are monitoring where these plants are and that we are able to do what is necessary to eradicate them or to limit their impact, certainly, on the students and on the teachers and the principals and the entire school communities, and of course the surrounding communities as well.
Energy Minister Senator Lisa Cummins has been clearing the air about Barbados' offshore oil and gas exploration efforts. During her presentation in the Upper House yesterday, Senator Cummins dismissed suggestions that rigs will be set up in the Carlisle Bay and other points across the island.
Carlisle Bay relates to an offshore block. They got all kind of names. Offshore blocks. We got Carlisle Bay, Bimshire, Blackberry Sheep. All kind of names. So Blackberry Sheep relate to the Blackberry Sheep up in country in St. George all of a sudden? No, Mr. President, they're the names of offshore blocks. So no, we are not having drilling off of Carlisle Bay. Let me put that to bed too. I remind you about the name. The name, we got Sugarcane, Chapel House, Kensington. We're not drilling off of Kensington, Mr. President. Bathsheba, we ain't drilling off of Bathsheba, and we are not drilling off of Carlisle Bay.
The Energy Minister also confirmed Barbados remains committed to the climate change fight even as it embarks on the oil exploration efforts. She reiterated statements by Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley to demonstrate this.
This is also the leader who in the other place said, when we begin the process of offshore exploration, her preference is for natural gas exploration, and even if we can find someone, some entity who will pay Barbados to leave the oil in the ground, she would be willing to do that because we have to be true to our philosophy. So I don't want us to buy into this notion about, oh, it is disappointing that we're going to offshore exploration. Prime Minister was very clear, Mr. President. She didn't stutter. She wasn't unambiguous in what she said. She said natural gas is her preference, and that is what I understand my instruction to be as a minister with responsibility for energy.
Independent Senator Crystal Drates wants to see changes being made to the processes and systems associated with governance in Barbados. She made that point during her assessment of the budget. Recognizing a need for more citizen engagement, she called for the process known as participatory budgeting to be adopted, as it allows the public to have a greater say in how state funds are used.
Countries such as Switzerland, Netherlands, Canada, all have their own forms or models of participatory budgeting. Sir, and if by some blessing, it is something that we believe can help us in building what we have coined as this new Republic of Barbados. Is there a design that we can come up with that can then become a critical part of the political architecture of Barbados governance systems?
Well, that's our news until now. We'll have more news at 12 noon in CBC Newsday. The CBC News at 7 was brought to you by the Barbados Lottery. Morning Barbados continues after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hi, I am Jahin Thomas, one of the team leaders of Project SOF. Project SOF is a very transformational program for youth who are now going into secondary school. It helps them with their team building, effective communication, decision making, and also raise awareness of drug use. For me, Project SOF definitely impacted my life, especially as a team leader. Dealing with children every day, it was for me to honestly wonder, am I making the right decisions when I approach these children? And not only that, but are they developing as well and taking in information that they're being taught? Project SOF also benefits those children, as I mentioned earlier. But one of the major things I have seen, especially from children coming out of Project SOF, is the impact that it has made on them even after.
Good morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we're 12 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Don't forget to rock your socks, and as you rock your socks, take your photographs of your feet in your beautifully colored socks, multicolored socks as a matter of fact, of children, of adults, of any age. And you take those photographs and you will send them by email to us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's Cheryl's feet that we see right there as she rocked her socks. Who's this? Beautiful. I love that. But thank you for rocking your socks. Well done. It's World Down Syndrome Day. And another set of feet rocking those socks. So take your photographs and send them. Even the little ones getting involved. I'm here, aww. Indeed, and we want you to get the children to get involved as well. And as they get involved, don't just rock your socks. But if you know anyone who is a Downs child, be kind to them, with them, not for them. They are equally able, and so we want to give them equal access to everything as well. So that's what I want you to be able to do today. With them, not for them. So you can work alongside them, with them, guide them, but not for them. Give them the opportunity to achieve as well. Take your photographs. Turn our attention now to Barbados population policy. And joining us, finally, we have her here, Roberta Clark. She is the chair of the National Population Commission. Good morning to you, Ms. Clark.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Good. And we have no connection issues today.
Yes,
indeed.
no, that was the devil in the internet.
Indeed. So let's break this down for a lot of people, because for a number of them, they do not know about the Commission and why the Commission exists. So let's start there.
So the Commission was established in January 2019, comprised of 10 people with a range of experience and competence in public planning and public health and human rights, demography, you know, a range of expertise. And the population policy was established to do two things in the main. One, to prepare a report that would analyze the population size and the population structure, and the causes for that size and that structure, and to make projections on what the population would look like in Barbados in the next 30 years if there were no policy interventions. So we did that report, and that's called a population situational analysis. And then the second task was based on what we would have discovered in that report and analyzing that report to make policy recommendations to address population-related impediments to development. So that's really what the task has been about.
So how was it developed, the policy? How was that developed? Out of that study?
Yeah, so that study really outlined a few things. One, that since 1960, Barbados' population has only grown by 24%. So it's among the lowest growing countries in the region. I think the only country that we saw that had a lower growth than Barbados was Dominica, which has had successive natural disasters. But so it's a very low growth. Of course, that's because we've had a high take-up of contraception use and really a lot of intentionality about controlling the size of our families. So we've had the decline in birth rates very clearly. And in fact, since 1980, Barbados' fertility rate has been below what is recognized as the replacement rate. So for a population to replace itself over one generation to the next, on average, a woman must have 2 children at the end of her reproductive years. And Barbados' replacement rate went below that 2.1 since 1980. So we found that. So we have the decline in birth rate, but also very wonderfully decline in death rates too, because of improved health systems and health care. So we are living longer. Essentially what we have is the steadily graying population. So that's one of the main findings of the analysis. Around that, of course, there are many implications which the population policy seeks to address.
So how does the population policy seek to address that, really? How do we fix this problem of aging population, lower birth rate, and soon hardly any Barbadians alive? How do we fix this policy?
Not so dramatic.
You know what I mean.
Not so dramatic. So of course, a few things. We're saying a population policy is just one policy amongst a number of policies that would address securing a socially just, inclusive development where everyone has a decent quality of life. Essentially, that's what all government policy is contributing towards, right? A decent quality of life for all, addressing the historical inequalities, ending poverty. That's really where we all want to go. And of course, you have to have a robust economy because, you know, government derives its revenue from in the main from taxation, from income tax and from value-added tax. So you need people to be involved in the labor force and also to be involved in the care. We need people to care for each other, care for the young, care for the sick, care for the elderly. So what we're saying in the population policy are 3 things. One, we need to be able to maintain a population size and structure, and the structure is about the age groups, right? We need to maintain a population size and structure that can contribute to us achieving this aspiration of a fair, decent, developed Barbados for all. Also well managed environmentally. And so that's one thing, but we also want to take care of the Barbadians who are here now and who will become in the future, and that the environment that we leave behind for them is sustainable. And thirdly, that we have integrated settlement where we have a balance between housing and land for agriculture and land for green spaces. So the policy addresses those 3 large issues.
It's not a quick fix. Fertility takes a little while, you know, and to have birth, it takes and development. And so what are some of the quick fixes as you see it from where you sit?
Well, I'm not sure that there are any quick fixes, but more sort of immediate and medium-term approaches to fill in the gaps in your economy, your labor gaps in the economy, would be through what we call managed migration. So in fact, that's the main recommendation of the Commission around the question of maintaining a population size and population structure. Because what we really need are people of working age, you know, between the, let's say, the 24 to, or the 20 to the 67 age band. And we need them not only to be involved in the economy and to pay taxes, but also to care, to the caring work that we need for the population. So we're suggesting a managed migration policy. That means bringing in people into the country where you have what we call unmet labor needs. So where are the gaps in the workforce? For example, in Barbados, we've seen nurses come from Cuba, medical personnel from Cuba, from Ghana, because there are gaps in the labor force there. So we're saying, let us find out what the gaps are in the labor force, and also what are the aspects of the economy that we want to grow, but we don't have the skill sets. And you try to attract people to meet those needs, but also to attract Barbadians to come back, either permanently or temporarily. There are some statistics that show that Barbados' emigration rate, Barbadians leaving Barbados not to return, is among the highest per capita globally. So we also make some recommendations about how do you retain young Barbadians here, even those who go to study, but to get them back, and then, you know, just give options for Barbadians to return, and also to expand categories of persons entitled to live here and also to be citizens.
Does the policy say what is the minimum number of people who should be here to maintain the kind of social services as we know them?
Well, it's really hard to do that, and we struggle with that in the Commission, to be really honest with you, because there's a certain arbitrariness in sort of just plucking a number, particularly where you don't quite have a handle on what the labor force needs are. But what we did, the approach that we took was to say if Barbados has maintained its replacement rate since 1980, what would the population size be? And in fact, in 2020, the population size would have been, if we had maintained the replacement rate, would have been 360,000 people. So we're saying, let's just think about that. We're not saying that we need 185,000 more people by 2050, but it gives us a kind of a ballpark for thinking about how we may want to increase the population. But again, we have to be so careful about that, because we see a managed migration embedded in the word managed means that you have to be monitoring it very carefully. So however you build out that managed migration policy, you have to make sure that Barbadians are not displaced in the economy or otherwise disadvantaged. When I say Barbadians, or persons living here now, are not dislocated from employment or in disadvantaged in any other way. So migration has to be really closely monitored to make sure that we are attracting the people that we want to, but there's no displacement or unfairness to those who are here now.
What opportunities is the Commission giving to Barbadians to weigh in, to share points of view, and to perhaps understand better the policy?
So all the way through the exercise, even in developing the situational analysis, we've had consultations, thematic consultations, consultations with social partners. We are now in the round of public consultations, and in fact we had one yesterday at Alexandra School. We will have 2 more public consultations this week. One at Princess Margaret tomorrow from 5 to 7, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Princess Margaret School Wednesday, and at St. Michael's School on Thursday, again 5 to 7. But the beautiful thing about the space that we're in now, the consultations are also available online. So if you can't get to Princess Margaret School, if you can't get to St. Michael's, you can go online at the GIS link online, and you can ask your questions online. Works beautifully, and we will also be answering questions, or you can make your comments online or make your suggestions online.
This is fantastic. So it moves the conversation from simply in the barbershops, that's where we first had a big conversation about this, to a space now where we can all as Barbadians contribute and to know more, to ask the questions we want to have answered. And this is happening tomorrow, folks, tomorrow at the Princess Margaret School from 5 to 7 p.m. You can come in person or you can choose to do so online. Then on Thursday, they're at the St. Michael's School from 5 to 7 p.m. The Barbados National Population Commission inviting all of us to lend to the discussion in shaping the policy and understanding the policy, the thing that helps us to be a far better regulated society and to be able to continue to provide the services and enjoy the services that we've grown over the centuries to be able to enjoy. And how can we do so? By either managing our migration, by increasing our population through the regular methods, and a whole host of combination of things, but you have the ideas. And so meet with the Commission tomorrow, Wednesday, and again on Thursday. Firstly, on Wednesday at the Princess Margaret School, and then on Thursday at the St. Michael's School, both sessions beginning at 5. You can be in person or you can go online, and you can go to the GIS website to get to know how you can get the link there. Ms. Clark, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are out of time, but all the best with the work of the Commission, and you know, we can't wait to hear about how we move forward from here, because I think without a doubt all of us acknowledge and accept that we have to do something about the population numbers. How we do it is what we hear from the policy. So
yes, as I say, the devil is in the details.
It's all in the details.
So thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're very welcome indeed. Roberta Clark, the chair of the Barbados National Population Commission. And remember, the charge is now yours to join in the discussion. Don't sit on the sidelines and wait for others to determine the policy. You can be an active participant in the shaping of the policy. Tomorrow, from the Princess Margaret School at 5 to 7 or online, and on Thursday at the St. Michael's School. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, our pediatrician will join us as today, World Down Syndrome Day. We rock our socks, but we want to understand more about what Down syndrome is and how truly special people with Down syndrome are. We'll take a break and we'll be back with that in a bit.
Today's Morning Barbados is sponsored in part by Troubadours International. Get ready for the Legacy Show on Saturday, March 25th at Halo Nightclub, St. Lawrence Gap, Christchurch. Sponsored by CBC TV8 and 94.7 FM.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and
morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
26 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Rock Your Socks Day. Remember, folks, it's Down Syndrome Day, Awareness Day, and you are encouraged to wear your multicolored socks. You can mix and match. You can be as creative as you want to be. Be colorful in your expression. Show your support publicly by publicly showing that you are wearing your colorful socks today. Rock your socks. Take your photographs and you send your photographs to us. We'd love to see them. Send them by email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. We will share them with you. But in talking a little bit about Down syndrome awareness, do you have any idea what Down syndrome is and why some children are born with Down syndrome? That's what we want to look at now when we hook up as we speak with Dr. Gillian Birchwood, our pediatrician. Dr. Birchwood, good morning to you. Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, I can.
Well, that always helps. Unmuting always helps.
Always helps. Listen, are you rocking your socks today, ma'am?
I will certainly be rocking my socks today, without a doubt. And I love your socks. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Careful selection. Do you know, Michael actually picked these for me. We went shopping.
Really?
Yes, he did. He did. We went shopping on Saturday, and I said, okay, Michael, choose a pair of socks for me. Christopher chose his. Michael then chose these for me, and I'm proud to wear them today indeed. So we're rocking our socks today. And I deliberately chose not to wear shoes on set today because I want the world to see that we are rocking our socks and we're lending support to this. It's a very special condition. Yeah, it's a very special condition. And for those who don't know what is Down syndrome, what is it?
Well, Down syndrome, it's also called trisomy 21. It's a genetic condition that children are born with where they actually have an extra chromosome on the 21st chromosome. So it's called trisomy because there are 3 chromosomes where there should be 2. And that one extra chromosome causes all of these changes in the way that the baby grows and develops. So it's a genetic condition that starts in the womb. And you can see in the picture there that we all normally have 23 pairs of chromosomes. That's what most people have. But on the 21st pair, some people will get 3 instead of 2. And so that is actually what causes Down syndrome, or trisomy 21. It's just that simple little extra chromosome that does it.
That makes him so special. Can you detect that or diagnose that before birth, or do you only detect that after birth?
Well, nowadays you can definitely detect it before birth, And in cases where perhaps people may not have had it detected before birth, we can certainly confirm it after birth as well. So when women are pregnant and they go to the doctor, in some situations they may be offered testing, or there may be situations where we know that they may be at higher risk. But the type of testing, we can do screening tests. We look to see if there are any cells that perhaps are associated with Down syndrome. And we can do that from a simple blood test in mom, where we will look at the risk. In addition to that, an ultrasound done at a particular stage in the pregnancy can show you certain features that might make you think, this baby might perhaps have Down syndrome. And then you might have actual further testing during the pregnancy. The fluid that's around around the baby, in the womb, the amniotic fluid, can be tested. That's called an amniocentesis. A tiny sample of the placenta can be taken, and that can give a confirmation as to whether or not a baby still in the womb has Down syndrome. Finally, after the baby is born, you can also do testing. We can suspect that a baby has Down syndrome when the baby is born. We can look at them. There's certain features that we will notice, certain things we'll find on physical examination, and then we'll offer parents to do a test that is called a karyotype, which is a type of genetic test, where they will literally look under the microscope and you will see the picture that we would have shown earlier that shows you all the different little chromosomes, and they can literally count them and see that there's an extra one there. So there are definitely tests available that can detect the condition before birth and after birth, so we can let parents and families know what to expect.
Get the extra thingy. But what is it that predisposes some children to be born with Down syndrome and others not?
Well, anyone can get Down syndrome. I think this is something that I really want to get across. Anyone can be born with Down syndrome because it is a genetic condition, and it is not typically an inherited condition. It happens randomly in the vast majority of cases. It can happen to anyone, anywhere in the world. And so a Down syndrome person can be our family, our friend, our neighbor. And as that picture shows, it's really important to celebrate them because they have different talents, and we just have to make sure we look for them, and they definitely have the ability to thrive. I am very enthusiastic about these children because they have such wonderful qualities, and families who have them know that they are really blessed because of the lovely qualities that they do have.
They have such a big heart, and they just, with Michael, for instance, all I have to do is, as if I want to cry, and immediately his compassion steps out. And it's just so funny how he's so quick to detect it. I was saying to our makeup technician this morning, on the weekend, Christopher didn't even realize I had a haircut, but Michael did. Uncle, you had a haircut. He saw it immediately. They see the little things, and that truly makes them absolutely special. Now, let's talk about some of the health risks that could come with a child with Down syndrome.
I think it's important for people to be aware that, yes, with Down syndrome come many joys, but there may be challenges as well. So I don't want us to only think it's their challenges, but I think it's important for people to be aware so that we can support those who we know have family with Down syndrome. So first of all, Down syndrome children typically will have intellectual disability and developmental disability. It does not mean that they can't grow, develop, and thrive, but we have to know that from the beginning that we are aware of these things so that we can support them from the get-go so that they can reach their full potential. So that they definitely can have intellectual disability and developmental disability, which may perhaps make some families feel very concerned, but they really are able to overcome so many things. It's quite amazing what children with Down syndrome are able to do. The second area is that about half of all children with Down syndrome have a heart condition that they are born with. So they may have a heart condition. It's so common that anytime we have a child born with suspected or proven Down syndrome, we'll automatically investigate to see if there's a heart condition, even if it hasn't shown up yet. They may also have blockages in the intestine. They may have blood disorders, and they're more prone to having leukemia. So it's an important thing we need to look out for so that, God forbid, it were to develop, we catch it early. And again, not all children with Down syndrome will develop that, but some may. They may have thyroid problems, and a lot of children with Down syndrome have ear, nose, and throat issues. They're more likely to have ear infections and hearing loss. They may have breathing problems because their nose is so tiny and their mouth is small, so their tongue may be quite large. And they may have enlarged tonsils and adenoids, which can obstruct their breathing. So there are some problems that children with Down syndrome and some challenges that they may have, and we need to know about those in advance so we can partner with the family and we can plan ahead and we can make sure that they are as healthy as possible for their entire lives.
Is there a spectrum on which you can measure the child's ability and capacity with Down syndrome?
So there is testing that can be done to see which areas are their strengths and which areas may perhaps need some support. So there is specific psychological testing that lets you know where their intellectual strengths are, for example, and there's testing that's done on their development that lets you know where they are, so that as a doctor, as a family member, you can say, okay, these are the areas that we need to work on, because you are quite correct. Some children with Down syndrome are very much more highly functional than others. Some may need much more support than others. So just like anybody else, no two children with Down syndrome are the same.
And that's what's making them special as well. You know, I've seen certainly, you know, in the international spaces, Down syndrome actors. They're performing, yes. They're living lives, they're contributing, they have children yes. as well. And yes. so I want for you to talk to parents today, because they feel as though, oh my gosh, I'm now saddled with a burden having my child diagnosed with Down syndrome. And that is not the case at all.
Yes. You know, one of the most bittersweet times for a family is when they do have a child who is born they may not have known, and they receive a diagnosis of Down syndrome after birth. They can feel so discouraged. And I will often go into those families and I will talk to them about what it means to have a child with Down syndrome and all the special things that they can look forward to, because there's a lot to look forward to. And I can tell them that, you know, I would love you to be in contact with other families with children who have Down syndrome, so you can know that you're going to enjoy having this child. There's a lot they're going to be able to do, and with the right support and with the right attitude, they can often stand on their own 2 feet and amaze you. And when they're given the opportunities, and you will often see this perhaps in larger countries with a lot of resources, that they may be able to live on their own or in a more supervised environment when they get older. And we should never restrict children with Down syndrome and assume they can't do anything. That's definitely not the truth. So as much as families may feel very hesitant and sometimes upset when they're told that they have a child with Down syndrome, I often very much am able to tell them this is something to celebrate. These children are wonderful, and they will really bring a lot into your lives that you will be grateful for as they grow up and thrive.
You're absolutely right. With us, not for us. And that's the message today that Down syndrome children are saying. With us, not for us. Let them do, because they have the capacity to. But speaking of which, because of the spectrum, there are some Downs who will not be able, because of physical challenges, to be able to do as much as. What are the facilities? What does the system here offer parents to help them cope with children with Down syndrome who are not as able as others are?
Yes. So from the beginning, because we are not going to know exactly what challenges a particular child with Down syndrome may face, we do a panel of tests to check and see what things the child may have. We need to address: do they have heart problems? Do they have thyroid problems? May they have problems digesting, etc.? And so there's a whole network that we have. So it's important to think of children with Down syndrome in terms of it takes a village, okay? So that when children are going home, we will connect them with our Albert Cecil Graham Developmental Center automatically. So these children will go to the Albert Cecil Graham Developmental Center, which is a wonderful institution where there are a range of specialists who are there to help children with developmental and intellectual challenges and to help the families and to support them. So they go there because they may need physiotherapy, they may need speech therapy, they may need occupational therapy. There's a developmental pediatrician there as well, who oversees the entire operation. They may have hearing challenges. So we'll do a lot of screening. It's quite intense in the first couple of months because we are looking to establish everything that we can about this child. So that is, we're going to help them with their intellectual and developmental aspects of their care. If they need to be connected with an ear, nose, and throat doctor, we do. They may need to be connected with an eye doctor because there's a higher chance that they may need glasses for various reasons. And again, we offer the family support. There is a Down syndrome support group in Barbados, which I think has been a wonderful thing for parents. And also there are very many kind parents and families out there who are willing to share their experience with people who have newly diagnosed children with Down syndrome. So they can say, look, I've been down that pathway before. I'm reaching my hand back to pull you forward and to let you know this is something that you can do and that will enrich your life. You just have to hear from people who have been down the path, and often that can be really helpful as well.
I want to look at food and consumption of food because, you know, the motor skills are a little bit different, the palate is a little bit different and the like. And so some parents get a little bit scared that the child is not eating the same kind of solid food that the adult or the other child would. Talk to us a little bit about how Down syndrome children consume food and how to keep them healthy as they eat.
Yes. Yes, that's important. In the very beginning, especially during the first year of life, children with Down syndrome may have what we call low tone. Tone is the kind of springiness that you have in your muscles and your joints. And having a normal amount of tone really helps for children to learn to move around, but also with feeding. So there may be feeding challenges in particular during the first year of life. And so when we have children who have that diagnosis, we will follow those children very carefully to see to it that they're gaining weight and growing as they should, because they may have feeding difficulties in the beginning. The ability to suck, swallow, and chew may be different. They may need the support of a speech and language therapist who actually helps with chewing and swallowing. They're not simply there to just help encourage speech. And also they may work with a physiotherapist to help improve their tone. But when they are older, sometimes they may have texture sensitivity concerns, and children who have Down syndrome are at a higher risk for having autism, which can also affect their willingness to eat. So children who have autism on the whole may be more picky, may be more sensitive about the texture, may be more challenging to feed. So if you have a child with Down syndrome who also has autism, then that can really compound and really make feeding challenges greater. Not insurmountable, but greater. So in the beginning, we may have problems with children with Down syndrome feeding well and growing well. But as they get older, especially with the help of some of the specialists that I mentioned, we can overcome those challenges and they may have perfectly normal ability to eat as they get older, but that may not be the case when they're first born and during that first year of life especially.
In other words, parents, don't despair with us, not for us. And so they live, they thrive, they are active members of our community and our society. They are beautiful people. Children with Down syndrome. I can't even say it enough, quite honestly. And thank God for the experience. I mean, now you see life so differently when you have the experience of one with Down syndrome. And boy, it's amazing. But I want to thank you so very much, Dr. Birchwood, again, for exposing us to the information around Down syndrome. Today, Down Syndrome Awareness Day, and I hope that many people consume it and they find the capacity in their spaces to understand children with Down syndrome. Thank you so much, Dr. Birchwood. All right, Morning Barbados continues in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
CBC TV8, recognizing World Down Syndrome Day.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Love it that you're rocking your socks. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Keep sending those photographs today. Look at Ruel's boy, Zavi. Zavi celebrating today World Down Syndrome Day. Well done, Zavi, your colorful socks. This is Debbie Miller. Debbie Miller's rocking her socks as well. Continues to do that, Debbie. Thank you for showing your support. Miss Mears, good morning. Thank you so much for watching the show indeed. Thank you for rocking your socks. Rhonda Hines Gray. I love it indeed. Rocking those beautifully colored socks indeed. Continue sending. This is Wilma Turton's feet. These are. And so she's rocking her socks as well. Thank you, Wilma, for showing your love and your support on this World Down Syndrome Day. Debbie, there you are, Debbie. Look at those two little pink feet. Well done, Debbie. Thank you for rocking those socks. Trinell, thank you so much too for rocking your socks. Rocking all day long, girl. And all of us, all of you, thank you very much for rocking the socks. Continue to take your photographs. Continue to send them to Mornin Barbados at cbc.bb. Junior Jordan himself, JJ, has joined in rocking the socks as well. Alicia Hinkson, who works with us in the CBC, she too is rocking her socks. Thank you all, thank you all. Corey Corbin from our MCTV department is rocking his socks as well. This is beautiful. This is so beautiful. I hope it starts and continues the conversation around Down syndrome and builds your capacity with us, not for us. All right, thank you. Keep sending, keep sending, keep sending. Now, as I told you at the beginning, the Science and Technology Festival was on at the UWI campus last week. And so we were there. There were 3 amazing days. The people who came were exposed to, you know, the drone technology, robotics, aviation, information, 3D animation, and a whole host of things. And so I want you to see for yourself. Don't let me tell you. Look and see for yourself.
The Mornin Barbados team attended the Science and Technology Festival last week. We heard from Arlene Weeks, Innovation Officer in the Department of Science, Market Research and Innovation in the Ministry of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology. Charles Cyrus, Director of Science, Market Research and Innovation in the Ministry of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology. Dr. Thea Scanterbury Manning, Acting Dean, Faculty of Science and Technology at UWI Cave Hill campus. Professor Clive Landis, Principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor at UWI Cave Hill campus. And the Honorable Davidson Ishmael, Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology. Here's what they had to say.
Today, as we face unprecedented challenges such as climate change, global health crises, and the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, science and technology remain the keys to unlocking a better future for humanity.
MISS has started this exhibition, which is part of a broader program aimed at popularizing science and technology in society. The idea of popularization entails the appropriate forms of science and technology should become a part of everyday life for individuals and communities. The demystification of science and technology is an important starting point, and the Science and Technology Festival is well positioned to assist in this endeavor.
Despite the challenges associated with the pandemic and a bleak economic outlook, the faculty recorded the highest numbers of students completing their PhD programs. So we previously had, in the last 10 years, only 1 PhD, but now, at this level, we have 6 PhD graduates, 2 in natural resource management, and 1 each in biochemistry, chemistry, computer science, and physics. I'm a little biased about biochemistry. So this list included also the first female physicist who graduated with a PhD in the faculty's history. And this was also complemented by 10 others who successfully completed other graduate programs.
The truth is that the technology and life sciences sectors in Barbados are still nascent and emerging. The CAVA campus is therefore aware that it has a responsibility not just to equip students with degrees in science and technology, but also to help grow the science and technology sector itself. This will require close partnership with government and industry to expand these sectors purposefully, while creating a more conducive environment for innovation in which staff and students can convert their research and ideas into commercially viable products and startups.
Simple innovations and small improvements can sometimes deliver a big punch, as they can be widely applied to enhance the quality of our daily lives. The festival is therefore designed to foster a new generation of scientists and engineers and encourage the young students who participate in these programs to pursue careers in math, science, and engineering. As Minister, I am pleased to identify with this objective, since I am of the view that this will enable them to contribute meaningfully to the development of our country. And I stop here to say that many people see innovation as being this one-off boom and bang and an explosion, almost like the Big Bang Theory for those scientists in the room. But it's not always that. Innovation is oftentimes very incremental. It happens over the process of time. And as we try to make something better, as we try to solve another problem, as we try to apply it to real life and world situations and challenges, that is where innovation really is sparked. So we don't have to encourage our children to look for the next big bang, but we have to encourage them to look for a problem in their life, find a solution for that problem, take it wider, take it broader, and that is how innovation really develops.
Now on to the exhibits. Our first stop was at the Virgin Atlanta exhibit, where they were showing children how to make a paper airplane. The big kid in our director role forward came out. He made a paper airplane, and let's just say it didn't take flight. Let's move on to the other exhibits. Hey, there we are on camera. We spoke to Fabian Branch, owner at Tap New Media. His team was there with NTI. They created a microverse called Gigabit Kids. It offers internet safety and training for kids and adults. and mostly being safe online while playing games that are educational and interactive and watching videos. They created experiences where children can still learn and play. They ask questions about Barbados. For example, what symbol is not on the Barbados coat of arms? Pearson, do you know the answer? Well, we got it wrong. They are launching on July 3rd and it's free.
My name is Christopher Page.
My name is Kyle State.
We're both students at Harrison College, and we just came to, we came to support our technology and aeronautics club, and we think that this is a really good initiative. I think it's really interesting to get to see the side of science and just get to learn a little bit more about how it runs in Barbados.
All the different stations from robotics to astronomy and even running the bank have been really advantageous. Getting information from each one has been very exciting.
Can't leave the Science and Technology Festival without having one of man's greatest scientific achievements, a snow cone on a hot day.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
CBC TV8, celebrating World Poetry Day.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
More pictures of more socks coming through. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. What socks are in? Thank you so much for rocking your socks today, World Down Syndrome Day, whoever you are. But thank you. Oh, that's Gail. Gail, Skinner Gail, the captain. Thank you so much. Some crew from the MCTV, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for rocking your socks as well. Amaria has sent her socks in. Amaria, thank you so much for rocking your socks as well today. Tell the whole world. Fiona is rocking her socks as well and sending them to us. We thank you, Fiona. And there's Asher. Asher is wearing his socks as well. Asher, well done. Thank you for rocking your socks this World Down Syndrome Day. Take some more photographs and you send them to us. Well, that's it for today. Thanks to my producer, Nadia Foster, whose voice you heard in that report we shared from the Science and Technology Festival. Roel Ford, who you saw walking through there as well, he's our technical director. Per did our sound today, Philip Hines. Our makeup technician has been Joanna Jones, and at Master Control, Tamisha Green. I'm Pearson Boyne on this World Down Syndrome Awareness Day, encouraging you today to rock your socks. Come back tomorrow. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.